No adults were allowed on stage to speak. And with over 700 marches underway in American cities and another 100 globally, it was the largest single day of protest in the history of our nation's capital.
Raleigh, North Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Central Los Angeles, all echoing the same message.
And when a message is urgent enough, sometimes help arrives.
City of Flint, USA, May 5th, 2016. POTUS has arrived.
The people of Flint had one last beacon of hope.
We were all invited to this big thing where the President Obama was going to speak to us about the problem.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool! Oh yes! Oh yes!
It's finally here. We've been waiting. Once he can make a conscious decision to push this with urgency.
While President Obama was on his way to the event, Governor Snyder thought he'd take to the stage and warm up the crowd.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I understand why you're angry and frustrated.
Not like we do.
I want to come here today to apologize.
It's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late. We already sick.
We have a short-term water crisis that needs to be repaired.
Thank you for caring for us, Obama. Flint's recovery is everybody's responsibility. And I'm going to make sure that responsibility is met. That's why I'm here. To tell you directly that I see you and I hear you. We invest. Can I get some water? Come on up here. I want a glass of water.
Get a bottle. Bottle water.
I want a glass of water. Everybody settle down. This is a feisty crowd. Thank you. I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
What? He wet his lips. He did not drink it. He didn't sip it. He wet his lips.
There was an audible gasp in the audience. People were just like absolutely dejected. Why would you do that?
I am sure that somewhere when I was 2 years old, I was taking a chip of paint, tasting it, and I got some lead.
Yeah, that's like talking about like, well, I didn't wear a seatbelt and I'm fine. It's like, but there were tons of people that died.
Backstage, the president, sitting at the table with the criminal governor, decided to perform his stunt all over again.
You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but, you know.
That's not what I expected. That's what Snyder did.
It felt like he minimized like what people were actually going through and struggling with. If you were actually lead poisoned, you would not be president, you would be janitor Barack Obama.
We were holding on to hope that he would declare a disaster area. A disaster would give us FEMA, it would give us pipe replacement, get engineers in here. Then we could get Medicare for all the residents of Flint. As soon as he took a drink of the water and said everything's fine, that was that.
And look at it, years later, it's still poison.
When he came here, he was my president, but when he left, he was not my president.
I would again go back to the president's visit last week. He reinforced the message that filtered water has been determined to be safe for people to drink.
This, again, was our hero, and we thought he was going to come here and help us. But they do have a mural of him, and you ride past it now, and his head is busted out.
It was devastating, and it depressed the vote. And I know people that stayed home and just said, to hell with all of them.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
I don't know why anybody would have advised him to do that, and I don't know why he would do it.
And to the average person, then the Democrats don't look like the people who are going to come to the rescue.
Right.
So in Flint, the number is something like 8,000 African-American voters who voted twice for Obama chose not to vote. Hillary lost in Michigan by 2 votes per precinct on average. 2 votes per precinct. 10,000 and some votes was it. So where are we left?
Yeah.
The worst thing that President Obama did was pave the way for Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump did not just fall from the sky. The road to him was decades in the making. Under President Obama, it became okay to imprison whistleblowers more than all previous presidents combined. He used drone strikes to bomb civilian populations. And he deported a record number of immigrants and refugees. What Flint needed was for President Obama to dig up the toxic pipes and have them replaced. But instead of sending in the Army Corps of Engineers, he just sent in the Army.
Those are not normal in Flint. It's going down like a motherfucker.
Wow, where is it? Oh, shit. Oh my God, there's another one. What is that?
Why are they so low? June 25th, Flint, Michigan. It was like, boom.
Didn't warn nobody in the neighborhood.
Oh God, this is so insane.
And it freaked me out.
Obama's Department of Defense decided to use Flint as a training ground to prepare Army troops so they could fight future wars in urban communities.
What are you guys doing this training for?
It's just to conduct some realistic training.
No one in Flint was warned in advance that they would now be used for target practice.
A few things broke in our house. Glass started to fall off the table and stuff.
What are we going to do? Everybody better fucking get ready.
What organization are you a part of?
I'm part of the United States Army.
U.S. Army?
In what other part of this city would they have did this without notifying the people?
Why are they doing this in Flint? Like, why here?
Because the availability of the abandoned buildings.
12:11 a.m.
In the city of Flint.
See that?
Coming to an American city near you. Because if it can happen in Flint, it can happen anywhere.
If you are from Flint, you have a whole different definition of terrorism. He was the only candidate of the 2016 election, Democratic or Republican, who decided to visit the scene of the crime. Perhaps he wanted to admire the handiwork of fellow Republican Governor Rick Snyder. Somebody once asked Donald Trump, how do you handle being at the center of all of this media attention, the whirlwind around you? How do you weather the storm? And he looked up and he said, I am the storm. I am the storm. And as you know, there's only one person who can navigate the storm, and that's the person who created the storm. And the rest of us are just looking for cover.
Thank you very much. You folks are in here. Place is packed. There are lines that go back 6 blocks. There is such love in this country for everything we stand for. You saw that on Election Day. And you're going to see it more and more. So we're all part of this very historic movement, a movement the likes of which, actually, the world has never seen before.
Often the move is to say, you're making a comparison to Hitler. It's not a perfect comparison, and therefore, let's throw all of history out. Whereas what I would say is, of course, the comparison's not perfect. No comparison's ever perfect. History doesn't repeat. But history is this huge resource of patterns. It's this huge resource of structures. It's a way to try to get your bearings in a moment like the present one where we're not really sure what's going on.
They were one of the greatest liberal democracies in the world. They were the first country to have universal health care for all citizens. They not only invented the printing press, they read more books than any other country, and it was not unusual for each of their cities to have a dozen daily newspapers, a robust free press. And they made the best movies. The art, the culture, the science, they were considered the most intelligent people on earth. In November of 1932, they elected an immigrant, an Austrian, to be their leader. He had no political experience. He didn't talk like a regular politician. He just told it like it is. It was so refreshing. Women loved him. Children were always excited to see him. Oh, and he loved animals.
Look what Hitler dines on. Not even soup for the ascetic vegetarian. Just a couple of crackers for a victory banquet.
He told jokes, he told stories. He was a great dancer. He talked about putting Germany first. And when German football players disrespected the national anthem, they were punished. He talked about creating jobs for everyone. He built roads and infrastructure and camps. He knew how to use the new media, radio, newsreels, and in 1935, he started his own TV network 4 years before Americans were introduced to television.
Heil Hitler!
He even knew how to use fake news.
Im Lager Juden von verschiedenen Berufen haben die Gelegenheit, ihr Berufsleben wieder aufzunehmen.
Oh, how the crowds flocked to see him. But his Nazi party only won 32% of the seats in parliament, which the Germans called the Reichstag. The popular vote was won by Germany's left liberal parties. Hitler wanted more. A few weeks after his inauguration, there was a terrorist incident. Somebody set the German parliament building, the Reichstag, on fire. Many believed it was the Nazis who did it in order to create a national emergency. But Hitler blamed the Communists. The Communist Party was banned, and their seats in parliament taken away. The liberals were vanquished, and the public supported Adolf Hitler, taking complete control. This Jewish weekly in Germany published a front-page editorial saying that everyone should calm down. Now that the Nazis are in power, we don't believe that Herr Hitler and his friends will do all the things that they promised. They won't suddenly take away the constitutional rights of German Jews. They won't lock us up in race ghettos or unleash the murderous mobs on us. They can't do these things because the Constitution won't let them. Back in the U.S., the New York Times agreed. They reassured the American people that things would not be that bad. They even wrote flattering articles and said that Hitler's anti-Semitism